Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2024 ASM Southern Chapter Roadshow. My name is Shakira, your MC for today's. Next, I would like to invite Ustaz Ibrahim Khalil to lead us in Doa recital.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك الكريم وعظيم سلطانك اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم إنا نسألك بأسمائك الحسنى وصفاتك العظمى وكلمات التامة ورحمتك العامة أن تجعل هذا اللقاء لقاء مباركا موافقا بالخيرات والبركات مليئا بالحسنات والطيبات مصحوبا بالبهجة والسرور مكتوبا بالسلامة والسعادة مزينا بالعصمة والمغفرة منعما بالصحة والعافية معصوما عن الفحشاء والمنكر اللهم افتح لنا أبواب الخير وأبواب السلامة وأبواب الصحة وأبواب النعمة وأبواب البركة وأبواب القوة وأبواب المودة وأبواب الرحمة وأبواب الرزق وأبواب العلم وأبواب المغفرة وأبواب الجنة يا أرحم الراحمين. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, bukakan kepada kami pintu-pintu kebaikan, pintu-pintu keselamatan, pintu-pintu kesihatan, pintu-pintu nikmat, pintu-pintu keberkatan, pintu-pintu kekuatan, pintu-pintu mawaddah, pintu-pintu rahmah, pintu-pintu rezeki, pintu-pintu ilmu, pintu-pintu keampunan dan pintu-pintu syurga. Ya Allah, ya Rahman, ya Rahim, kami berhimpun untuk mendapat rahmat dan naungan-Mu di dalam majlis ASM Southern Chapter Roadshow. Kami bermohon agar majlis ini menjadi tautan keintelektualan, ukhuwah, permuafakatan, perkongsian kesarjanaan dalam memikul amanah pengurusan dan memetabatkan ilmu. Anugerahkanlah kami taufik dan hidayah. Semoga majlis ASM Southern Chapter Roadshow ini akan membawa manfaat yang berkekalan dalam menjadikan hubungan silaturahim antara kami. Satukanlah hati-hati kami dalam usaha kami berkongsi idea dalam satu matlamat untuk membentuk sebuah organisasi yang kukuh dengan para warganya mempunyai nilai kerohanian yang utuh, ditunjangi oleh budi pekerti yang patuh dan ilmu yang bersuluh. Ya Allah, ya Zal Judi wal Rahmah, ya Allah, kami mohon inayah dari ayahmu agar menggunakan kekuatan kepada kami warga UTM untuk meneguhkan iltizam dan istiqamah, kesungguhan dan jihad kami untuk terus menghambat kejayaan demi kejayaan dalam melaksanakan tugas kami. Selaras dengan sabda Rasulmu yang bermaksud, sesungguhnya Allah amat mengasihi seseorang daripada kamu yang apabila ia melakukan satu pekerjaan, dilakukannya dengan penuh ketukunan. Allahumma ja'al jam'ana hadza jam'an marhuma wa tafarruqna min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma wa la taj'al fina wa la ma'na syaqiyyan wa la matrudan wa la mahruma. Ya Allah, jadikanlah perhimpunan kami ini sebagai satu perhimpunan yang dirahmati dan perpisahan kami pula selepas ini sebagai perpisahan yang diberkati dan dilindungi, dan janganlah Engkau jadikan pada diri kami dan mereka yang bersama kami kebinasaan, dan janganlah Engkau singkirkan kami daripada memperolehi rahmat-Mu ya Allah ya Zal Jalali wal Ikram. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin.
Thank you, Ustaz, for the Doa. As a statutory body established by an Act of Parliament, ASM is under the purview of the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, MySTIE. ASM strives to be the thought leader for the nation on matters related to science, technology, innovation, and the economy. We provide a platform for exchange of ideas among academia, policymakers, civil society, and industries. Please enjoy this short video to get a better understanding of ASM. The 2024 ASM Southern Chapter Roadshow is the fourth roadshow of the Sarawak Chapter, East Coast Chapter, and Northern Chapter. These roadshow series are organized to ensure that ASM's roles are effectively communicated to our stakeholders across Malaysia. ASM expert network and programs are introduced during the roadshow to the scientific community, professional bodies, and the public. We would like to thank you, Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, for becoming our strategic partner and making this event possible. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin the session, let's welcome Professor Dato' Engineer Technologist Dr. Ahmad Fauzi Ismail, UTM Vice Chancellor and Chairperson of ASM Southern Chapter, for his welcoming speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera dan good morning to everyone. Especially to Yang Berusaha Professor Dr. Nur Saadah Abdul Rahman, Secretary General of the Academy of Science Malaysia, representing the President of ASM, was informed the President is the Minister of Defense Minister in Turkey. Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk yang berbahagia yang berusaha Profesor Puan Hazami Habib, the CEO of the ASM, Profesor yang ada kat depan ni. Nak sebutkan tak habis pula kan. And panelists of the 10 and 10 MySTIE Technology Series and 40th Idea Exchange, fellows, members of the Academy of Sciences Malaysia, management and senior officers of UTM, members from industry, guests and fellow audience, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome all of you to the 2024 Academy of Science Southern Chapter Roadshow. As a chairman of the ASM Southern Chapter and also the VC of UTM, it's my pleasure and honor to have you join the event this morning, probably just this afternoon as well, and probably tomorrow. Tomorrow ada lagi? Tak ada? Tu dia ni. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the efforts and dedication of ASM in organizing this event. This event marked a second roadshow for ASM in 2024, following a successful gathering in Penang last year. Since January 2024, ASM has been actively engaged with UTM. Our partnership is built on the shared vision and fostering knowledge sharing, innovation within the scientific community. Today's roadshow represents a continuation of this collaborative journey. And bringing together brilliant minds, all of you are brilliant minds, thought leaders and innovators to discuss and explore the latest development in STIE. Later, 2 forum sessions will be held. The 1010 MySTIE Technology Series and the 40th Idea Exchange. The theme is Cybersecurity and enhancing the business and service hub ecosystem. And this would be an excellent opportunity for everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today to participate in what promises to be an informative and enlightening session. The roadshow offers a unique platform for all of us to learn, network, exchange ideas, and to get something to bring back home. Gathering like this allow us to collectively address challenges and opportunity in our respective field, driving forward innovate something that benefits to mankind. As we participate in today's session, let's embrace the opportunity to engage with the content, ask questions if possible, and contribute to discussion. So as a chairman of Southern Chapter, I once again would like to take this opportunity to thank you, terima kasih, to ASM for choosing and not left us. Walaupun we are quite far away from Kuala Lumpur, and that's really we really appreciate that. And inshallah, soon, probably sometime next year, we will again embark on our signature program. That's to bring all of the Merdeka Award winner to come to our program to share their views and vision, to share their vision, contribute their ideas to promote and establish the way forward for us in Malaysia. If we Malaysians would like to be competitive in a very competitive world outside. That's all from me. And once again, last night I mentioned this, whatever we do in UTM, we didn't do it for ourselves. We do it in the name of God for mankind. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Prof. Fauzi, for the welcoming speech. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Secretary General of ASM, Professor Dr. Nosaada Abdul Rahman, to deliver her opening note.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Good morning. Yang berusaha, yang berbahagia, Profesor Datuk Engineer IR Dr. Ahmad Fauzi Ismail, Vice Chancellor of Universiti of Technology Malaysia, and also the Chairman of the ASM Southern Chapter. Yang berusaha Puan Hazami Habib, Chief Executive Officer for the Academy of Sciences Malaysia. Distinguished panelists for the 1010 MySTIE Technology Series and 40th IoT Exchange, distinguished professors, fellows, and members of the Academy of Sciences Malaysia, management and senior officers of the Universiti of Technology Malaysia, members from the industries, respected guests, fellows, fellow audience, ladies and gentlemen. Alhamdulillah, praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with his permission today for allowing us to gather here. And on behalf of the Academy of Sciences Malaysia, or ASM, I welcome you to the 2024 ASM Southern Chapter 2024 Roadshow, organized in collaboration with the Universiti Teknologi Malaysia. The My1010 MySTIE Series and Innovation Kopitiam 4th installation, enhancing national digital security, the role of cybersecurity and blockchain technology will take place shortly. The My1010 MySTIE Technology Series is inspired by the 1010 MySTIE framework, a tool which is designed to transform Malaysia into a knowledge-intensive economy and move up the global innovation value chain through mission-oriented development in the key industry clusters. Last year, we successfully introduced the My1010 STIE Technology Series and Innovation Kopitiam to explore and discuss ways to strengthen the innovation ecosystem, build technological capabilities, and forge impactful collaborations. I am glad to share that based on the two series that we have conducted last year, nearly 500 participants from various diverse sectors, including industry, academia, government, and professional STIE bodies attended. The events were well received, and post-event surveys showed that 95% of the participants acknowledged that the event ignited collaborations. The insights from the key trends in emerging technology will be incorporated into developing the MySTIE STIE framework version 2.0. I would also like to share that the current concerns of digital security in Malaysia is related to the significant surge in the cyber threat and data breaches along the various sectors. Cybersecurity Malaysia reported a 1.2% hike in data theft in 2023 with 646 cases compared to only 50 in 2022. In the first 3 months of 2024, 142 data theft were reported out of 1,555 cybersecurity incidents. And the government's sector experienced the most data breach, while the telecommunications sector leaked the highest volume of data, up to about 4.25 gigabyte in the first half of 2023. A total of about 843 GB of the database of the data were exposed across various sectors. So to address these challenges, experts recommend rapid adoption of frontier technology in security operations and implementing essential preventive measures to safeguard against attacks. According to the study by the Department of Skills, we need an additional of 12,000 cybersecurity professionals to meet our target of 25,000 in 2025. Meanwhile, the blockchain technology's core principles align closely with those of cybersecurity. It offers an enhanced security features such as decentralization, data integrity, collaborative consensus, strong cyber encryption, and protection against cyber threat. This is a promising technology with growing adoption and development across various sectors in Malaysia. Malaysia is working towards setting up a National Cybersecurity Commission to consolidate responsibilities and expertise under one umbrella, enabling more efficient decision-making and responsiveness to emerging threats. Ladies and gentlemen, ASM, as a national think tank, is a change maker in science, technology, innovation, and economy. ASM brings together scientists, engineers, technologists, and social scientists to provide solutions to the government and address issues of national importance. The idea exchange sessions organized since 2011 have enabled views and opinions of members of the academy and representatives of the scientific communities, including government agencies, higher education institutions, research institutes, industries, stakeholders, NGOs, and individuals to be documented. Forums such as these have generated new ideas and workable solutions, leading to ASM's development of position paper, policy paper, as well as concept papers. An example would be the development of a position paper on increasing broadband penetration and quality for national transformation based on the STI carried out in 2013. The discussion on hydrogen economy mooted the development of position paper on hydrogen economy, which the National Science Council later approved. This paved way for the policy change regarding adopting alternative fuels, which we now witness. The insights from idea exchange sessions have also helped ASM to plan its future studies and initiatives. The feedback gained is also channeled to relevant platforms and the ministries at every opportunity we get. Ladies and gentlemen, later in this afternoon, the 40th Idea Exchange will deliberate on the theme of creating the ecosystem to position Malaysia as a business and services hub for the region. In today's dynamic global economic landscape, positioning Malaysia as a prominent business and service hub requires a comprehensive strategy. The strategy must integrate government's initiative, infrastructure development, talent cultivation, and industry collaborations. We must explore how to effectively enhance our current programs and initiatives to support business and service development. Additionally, we must address the infrastructure's need, essential for creating a thriving hub and develop strategies to improve our skilled talents to meet the industry's demand. Therefore, I would like to invite all of you to be open and share your views and thoughts on the topic. It may be unconventional, it may be controversial or provocative, but we want your perspective. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope we will be able to contribute as much as possible for the 40th Idea Exchange for the better of the nation. I take this opportunity also to thank UTM and also express my gratitude to UTM as well as the moderators and panelists for taking their time off their very busy schedule to participate in this discussion. And once again, I would like to thank Professor Dato Engineer, Professor Dato IR Technologies, Dr. Ahmad Fauzi, the Vice Chancellor of UTM, and the Secretariat who has made the 2024 ASM Southern Chapter Roadshow possible. And I look forward to inspiring conversation and innovative ideas that will undoubtedly arise from today's session. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Prof, for the speech. We will begin the first agenda of today's program with the fourth installation of the 1010 MySTIE Technology Series and Innovation Kopitiam, entitled Enhancing National Digital Security, the Role of Cybersecurity and Blockchain Technologies. This series, inspired by the 1010 MySTIE framework, is an inclusive platform designed by the Academy of Sciences Malaysia in 2023 to bring together players from the scientific communities, industry players, professional STI bodies, researchers, and policymakers to explore and discuss ways of strengthening the innovation ecosystem, building technological capabilities, and forging impactful collaborations. Before we begin the first session, I would like to introduce our moderator, technologist Dr. Noor Azalia Abu Bakar. Dr. Azalia is a transformative force in the academia, IT practice, research, and consultation with 24 years of dynamic expertise. As a senior lecturer and associate director of UTM International at Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, her passion for digital transformation, enterprise architecture, data analytics, and strategic foresight. Her visionary as a lead enterprise architect for ministries and institutes includes crafting transformative cyber technology roadmaps, artificial intelligence, and digitalization frameworks. Her collaborative spirit extends globally, fostering academic and industry partnerships for innovative progress as she shapes the future of research, industry collaboration, artificial intelligence, and international academia. Without further ado, I would like to pass the floor to Dr. Azalia for our first session today. Dr. Azalia, the stage is yours.
Assalamualaikum and very good morning. Thank you, Madam MC, Ms. Shakira, for the introductions. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, fellow technology enthusiasts, good morning again. Welcome to the 1010 MySTIE Technology Series. I am Noor Azalia from the Faculty of Artificial Intelligence, UTM, the moderator for this session. Ladies and gentlemen, firstly, congratulations again to Academy Science Malaysia for organizing this outstanding event. Your dedications and vision are truly driving the advancements of science and technology in our nations, and it's an honor to be part of this significant initiative. Huge appreciation as well for hosting this event in the southern region, as this gives all the attendees here to a chance to directly benefit from this incredible insight presented today. Ladies and gentlemen, this session is all about enhancing national digital security, the role of cybersecurity and blockchain technologies. Get ready for an insightful and inspiring morning as we hear from the leading expert who will share their knowledge and experience in these crucial areas. We are honored to have 4 esteemed panelists with us today, each bringing a wealth of expertise from various backgrounds. We'll start with each panelist presenting for 15 minutes. After all the presentation, we'll move into a dynamic dialogue session. And this event is also live streamed on Academy Science Malaysia Facebook page. So whether you're here with us today in person or joining online, feel free to ask the question and engage with our panelists during the dialogue session. All right? So it's a pleasure to introduce our first panelist, Madam Sharifah Rashidah Said Othman, Director of Cybersecurity Policy and International Cooperation at the National Cybersecurity Agency Malaysia, NACSA. Madam Rashidah has been serving the government of Malaysia as an administrative and diplomatic officer since 2004. With 2 decades of experience, she has played a pivotal role in shaping, coordinating, and monitoring the cybersecurity policies, including the Malaysia Cybersecurity Strategy and the recent Cybersecurity Bill. On the regional and international stage, she has contributed significantly on the Asian Region Forum work plan on ICT and is currently leading the Malaysia delegation on the UN Open-Ended Working Group on Security and the Use of ICT 21-2025. Today, she'll be presenting on the policy and regulatory frameworks for the cybersecurity in Malaysia. Without further ado, let me begin with our first session. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed speaker, Madam Rashidah. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang berbahagia Profesor Dr. IRTS Dr. Ahmad Fauzi Ismail, VC of UTM, Professor Dr. Nur Saadah Abdul Rahman, Puan Hazami, all the distinguished professors, fellows, and all the researchers here. It is my honor, and I'm humbled here to be together with all of you to my alma mater. I used to study in UTM. So back after 20 years. Okay, I'm going to start by discussing about policy and regulatory framework for cybersecurity in Malaysia. So talking about policy and cybersecurity is a huge topic, but I only been given 50 minutes, so I'm going to really skew to the things that we want to discuss today and tie it with the objectives of today's sessions. Is about the 1010. So let me begin by switching to my first slides, which I think all of you are well known about this particular matter. I've heard this yesterday and today, and I actually took the PDF version of the whole book and tried to digest it last night. So what I found is there are 10 sector and there are 10 technology drivers, which we have heard even this morning. And what are the objectives of this 1010? What I can say here is, first, the technology today, which have been indicated here, will rely on cyber environment. Is either the technology, the data, the processes, the IP, the intellectual property will be there, or the communication base will be in cyber environment, and cyber inherits legacy risks and beyond. Next is the sector. Sector here you cannot see in isolated. There are cross-dependency. It is the same criteria and characteristic of cyber environment itself. So what I can say here, when I look into the 1010, I can argue that each sector will depend on cybersecurity to provide the trust to the technology, to the innovations, to the thing that actually we want to achieve. And also, regardless cybersecurity is over there, it actually will be embed and underpins each and every technology that have been highlighted in this 1010. So coming back to the threat where we live today, we talk about the threat actors. We heard about the cyber-enabled crime and cyber-dependent crime. And who are the threat actor? Depending on who's the person behind that. What are the motivations? There are hacktivists where they want to proceed with their ideology. There are people with cyber criminals because they know that in cyber environment, you can get the money, with monetary motivations. There are insider threat where they actually do things and they are maybe around you. We know there will be a dedicated session after this from one of my panel that you will talk about zero trust. So you will listen with the importance of zero trust, which will also cater about the issues that we are facing in cybersecurity, including the insider threat. Cyber espionage, because I come from an organization that look into cybersecurity not only specifically for the economic element, where that is the core element for Malaysia to proceed in terms of navigating the challenges for us to become a developed nation. But at the same time, at the end of the day, the bottom line of what we want for our country is for us to be prosperity without impeding our national security and sovereignty. The three threat actors there actually have different motivations that will actually also affect and give an impact to everyone, regardless in any sector that we spoke earlier. So the threat actor, the technology today that resides in cyber environment, where we as a nation, as a person, as an organization cannot stop. But we need to know how we want to progress in terms of maximizing the benefit of technology, but provide a safe and secure environment where the element of trust is the key. Coming back to the policy, I can go back to 20 years back where we have our national cybersecurity policy, which came from Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. Because of what? Because of the changes of the world. Those days, cybersecurity was an IT issue. We know that it's supporting the development of IT. As time goes, as technology evolves, cybersecurity has becoming an interest to other threat sector that I explained earlier, where the shift of the government came in saying that cybersecurity is not only an IT issue, cybersecurity is also a national security issue. Hence why you can see the changes of how government, not only Malaysia, position ourselves and reorganize ourselves a few times to make sure that we can actually fit into the world that is challenging in terms of economic progression as well as national security and sovereignty. So what we have done, I think all of you probably have heard about the call from the government where we were asked to develop the National Cybersecurity Bill, where we actually have started the work way back in 2022, end of 2022, and we actually have accelerated the work, made progress of the work, and we have tabled that to the Senate, to Dewan Negara, on the 3rd of April in 2024. So right now, we are waiting for the consent of Yang Amat, from our Agong, from our King. So we are waiting for the consent. And at the same time, we are coming up with regulations to support the bill so that it can be gazetted as soon as possible. But what actually the bills contain, what actually it indicates? So the bill actually talks about and to enhance national cybersecurity by providing the establishment in the legislation, we already have that Jawatan Kuasa, that committee, but this is specifically mentioned in the legislation, the National Cybersecurity Committee, the duties and power of Chief Executive of National Cybersecurity Agency, the function and duties of the National Critical Information Infrastructure and the National Critical Information Infrastructure entities, how to manage cybersecurity incidents at the national level, and to regulate cybersecurity service provider, and other things which will come from time to time as our country progress ourselves in the digital economy, in this digitalizations era. So at the end of the day, what actually we want to achieve? We actually want to raise our national cybersecurity baseline, which includes all the sector that I mentioned and also indicated in your 1010. We want to raise the baseline of each specific sector based on their risk-based approach to able to identify, protect, respond, detect, and recover, and have a governance that will be the umbrella of all the processes that we did at the national level to protect our national critical information infrastructure. In the bill, it actually have these parts which indicate what I mentioned earlier. So the Act will establish the committee, will indicate the roles and responsibility of the chief executive, and will critically mention and critically indicated what are the roles and function of each sector. Because at the end of the day, as a national cybersecurity agency, we believe that each sector actually understands their business. And we also want to bring other stakeholder, because we recognize in cyber environment, in cyber security, we need to rely with one another, the stakeholder, which consists of the private sector, the academia, as well as the NGOs that actually do things to balance the work that we do in terms of introducing regulation, as well as making sure that regulation works and can be operationalized according to the needs of each specific sector. And this will be the simple structure. If you don't want to read the long bill, you can get that from our parliament. It's already an open document. You can get that, download that, and read and digest that. But these will be the structure of our country. Why we actually put the NCII, National Critical Information Infrastructure. Some of you may know as CNII, but after we coordinate with our Attorney's General Chamber, it will become NCII, where we specifically indicate the computer or computer system that actually have characteristic. If anything happen, it will give an impact that will escalate to our national economic, to our foreign relations, to our national security and sovereignty, to the government capability to function effectively. To implement that, we talk about the plan, we want to be effective. We actually presented to the National Committee, where the chair is Prime Minister. It needs 3 things, 3R, which is the regulation, which we are doing that to indicate what will be the specific time for you to notify in terms of cybersecurity breaches. What are the types? The second one is resources in terms of people. And the third one is budget, where we actually, thank God, we get the approval from the committee. We are going to get that very soon. And as a conclusion, one is we know that we will be facing an ever-changing landscape of cyber. We believe that the cybersecurity bill, when it is being gazetted, it will be an act that will assist us in terms of facilitating and increase our national baseline for us to venture into the complex environments of cyber. This is also a government commitment for us to make sure that not only the private sector needs to enhance cybersecurity baseline, it is also indicated to the government, federal, as well as at the state level. And thirdly, again, for us to get the full benefits of all the things, the beautiful things in cyber environment and technology, we need to ensure collectively for a secure, safe, and trusted cyber space, cyber environment. I will end here, and I'm happy to have a discussion later and to receive more questions regarding this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Madam Sharifah, for your insightful presentation on the cybersecurity policies and regulatory frameworks in Malaysia. We are also excited to be among the first to hear about the Malaysian bills that just recently tabled in the parliaments. Yes. Now, from the policy, the top-level strategy, let's move on to the adoption. What happened on the ground? So with us today, we have the pleasure to welcome our second panelist, Mr. Victor Loh Lip Hong, Head of Digital Tech at Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC. Mr. Victor Loh is an experienced professional with over 25 years in enterprise technology, risk governance, and public policy development. He has served businesses, including Fortune 500 companies across Asia South region. Currently, he leads MDEC Digital Tech Ecosystem Development, focusing on the cloud, cybersecurity, AI, blockchain, and 5G. His key role is to champion the digital tech industry, driving collaboration among digital businesses and fostering sustainable digital ecosystem. Today, he will be presenting on cybersecurity adoption across digital businesses and other high-impact sector. Mr. Victor, the floor is yours. Thank you.
All right, very good morning to everyone. Especially thanks to ASM for inviting us to this session in the morning. And I would like to thank ASM. In fact, is that as MDEC, we've been working very closely with ASM in the subject of cybersecurity since 2018. Most of you probably are not aware that back in 2018, actually, is that ASM developed a very comprehensive study that based on cybersecurity, how it can save and guard the digital economy of the country, right? So if you have resources later, probably can check it out. That is a very comprehensive report, and that is the foundation that how we actually craft the next journey of cybersecurity since 2018, right? And in fact, is that this is my second time to be invited to speak in this hall again. I was here last December, and that was during the Majlis Tikan ICT. And that is also something that is very forward-looking for the country. We want to look into how do we develop the AI ecosystem for the country. So thanks for inviting MDEC again, right? So nevertheless, I think the topic here today is very important for everyone in this room, especially is that if we are leading the country future, right? Let me a bit of background before I talk about MDEC. I think most of you are probably aware that MDEC is an organization that since our inception back in '96, our focus very much is how do we drive digital investment to the country. Later I'll show you some figures, right? But some changes that we have been happening along the way is that despite that, I think investment has been growing very, very well. But we need to be very focused, which I'll explain later what are the focus area that we are driving, right? And I think this is not new. MDEC currently is under the Ministry of Digital. With our sister agencies here, pretty much that very close to a digital ecosystem, right? From JPDP down to MyNIC, down to CSM, even down to MyDigital, is that all of us are very much focused into how to drive the digital for the country in the future, right? And as part of what I highlighted earlier, I think for the last 20 over years, digital investment has become in the country. But what's been growing very well for the country actually is that we created a lot of opportunity for local ecosystem to be able to have that opportunity to export. So for the last many years, you can see that export has been growing very well for the country. The nature of this is that it means that we have some good local innovations that we develop for the country together with the industry, and be able to bring it forward to the export region, right? So that is some great achievements that not only we are consuming technologies there, we are exporting technology and services from Malaysia. And nevertheless, I think is that something that is very close to our heart actually is a job opportunity. Today, we have close to about 223,000. That is based on data of 2022. And this number is growing. And the job here is actually high income jobs, right? Following what we call that knowledge worker jobs that we're creating for the country together with the industry. So end of the day is that when we look about the digital economy, we are looking about something like 25.5% focus by 2025. So that is a huge target that we are looking. And those targets will not come easily. I think these are a few indicators that will help us to guide us to that journey of 25.5%, whether it's from the jobs creation, whether it's from the export opportunity, whether it's from revenue, whether it's from investment, or salary that the jobs is offering. So these are very healthy indicator that we want to drive for the country when it comes to digital economy. So back to the topic of what we have today. 1010 technologies is something that we've been very, very much embracing today. I think as the country is focusing in this term, what you call it, the terms of 1010, right? We are pretty much aligned to that ecosystem, whereby when we look at our digital ecosystem today, like 2,700, 2,800 companies today, we want to make sure that we identify them not by company only, not by names only, but we identify them by the focus area they are driving, right? Based on our last assessments that we have conducted more about 500 companies, we are glad to say is that the top three trend that we're seeing, or the top five trend that we're seeing, is that the majority of them fall into the area of cybersecurity, AI, IoT, what we call that cloud, and 5G, right? So we are moving into the right direction in terms of the technologies company that we have today here in Malaysia. And when we look into that aspect also, is that we need to make sure that actually what they're contributing towards, what's the opportunity when we create all these technology or services for the country. We want to make sure that they can actually capture all these opportunities that globally available, right? We've got billions and billions of market opportunities. So why the country need to grow cybersecurity industry is not only that we use it here in Malaysia, but we use it outside of Malaysia too. The same for AI. So as part of alignment, I think is that as digital agencies that shaping the digital economy for the country, we believe is that it's very important. All our activities, all our programs, all our effort in driving digital economy are pretty much aligned to the national objective, whether it's from the Manadi roadmap, whether it's from the NIMP. I think within the NIMP also, there's a very, very important mandate that MDEC is driving under Mission 2, is that our job is to create that what we call that, to transform the smart manufacturing industry, right? To have 3,000 smart manufacturing by end of 2030. And this nevertheless is that we have to look into how do we encourage all these smart manufacturers to use a lot of this technology of AI. So indirectly is that we are looking into the driving Malaysia as an AI hub for regional, right? So subject of cybersecurity, this is something that is very close to what we do. As I mentioned earlier, when we look at our company today, is that we have top out of our thousands of companies that we profile, top three actually is coming from area of cybersecurity or related to cybersecurity matter. And nevertheless, I think is that we have a very important job to do, and we're glad that we have support from our minister today. He is actually very, very hands-on in this topic. He was the Minister of Communication before in 2018. Then he's back again end of last year as our minister in Ministry of Digital. And as what he says here is that we are seeing that cybersecurity as the foundation of digital economy, right? And in order to do this, is that we cannot do this as a government or we do it as an agency. You have to be a private and public partnership. It's a very important subject to drive this through. Hence, I think is that if we can look at the next example that we want to show here, this is something that we did back in 2018 together with the industry. At that point in time, is that it was launched by YB Gobind. It was a university in Klang Valley. It was actually a first, what you call that, a very much an advanced cybersecurity center that we launched together with the industry. So in these conversations that we put government, we put the university, we put the private sector that provides solutions to develop this cybersecurity lab. And today I think is that there's still much a gold standard that in country that that we want to promote. So any investor that come into the country, if they're looking to where do I find a cybersecurity professional or the talent pool, whatever the subject related to cybersecurity, that's the next showcase center we want to bring them to show that we know what we're doing in terms of cybersecurity. And as far as what MDEC's been doing for the last many years when we championed this subject of driving the cybersecurity industry, we have started with a very small number of cybersecurity courses around Malaysia back in about 8-9 years ago, right? But I think today is that most of the prominent universities or top tier universities actually offering cybersecurity as a subject that receive a lot of response, right? I think it's that some actually have been what you call it, as if I can take this example, the employment is actually very, very high, right? So in this picture also you can see Puan Sharifah is in the picture. So we've been partnering in crime for many years in doing this subject of cybersecurity, right, together with NACSA. And of course, is that we hope that we can do more. In fact, if I can recall correctly, is that we have done something with UTM also, right? We have put up investment into setting up a cybersecurity lab here in UTM. That was, I think, almost before COVID or after COVID. Right. So I've yet to visit that lab. Probably is that after this I can visit. Right. Thank you. So as far as that, I think is that besides we preparing the talent in order to make sure that we have a good storyline to prepare the talent, we need to make sure that we have very, very healthy solutions. So healthy solutions, how do we derive healthy solution in this case is that we need to make sure that we are not consuming technology of cybersecurity only. We are developing and we are building technical strength or technology strength in order to drive that ecosystem of solutions, right? So be it is a product or services, right? As what Puan Rashida just mentioned is that when we look at cybersecurity, we cannot be seen as a cybersecurity subject. We have strategies: identify, detect, protect, defense, and recover, right? So I think with this tiering of approach, we need to make sure that we have solutions within this 5 major pillars we're driving. Hence, I think is that we work with industry in this program called Cyber 100. It was launched by Deputy Prime Minister last year in CIDES 2023. And in that event, actually, is that we have shortlisted about 20 solutions that we say, hey, these are the solutions that we discover. We match them with the problem statement that we want to address for the country. And they are serving solutions. They are providing solutions to critical sector. So this is a very, very important subject because it's that once the IUU is gazetted and to be implemented, we want to make sure that the industry is ready to embrace this the requirement, right? So when it comes to undang-undang, it's very, very important that we have tools and capability to implement it. So what kind of work that we're doing here is very important to make sure that we not only want to have the country to have the cybersecurity bill, we want to make sure that it's implementable, right? So I'm sure we can play a short video after this or not, but I'll be trying, right? Sorry, I think the video. So actually, there's a video here, which I think, if you interested in this booklet of Cyber 100, I encourage everyone to develop, to visit a website of NACSA, right? Just Google NACSA Cyber 100. You'll be able to download this booklet, and that is a very comprehensive handbook to guide the industry, right? In particularly the enterprises, is that to look into the specific solutions that we have to address some of these challenges that we're facing from the country. Right? So how do we do this continuously? Cybersecurity is not a subject that we need to only look into what we know today or what happened yesterday. We need to make sure that when we look into the adoption of cybersecurity, or how do we stay ahead of all these challenges and opportunities, we want to make sure that we work closely with industry, right? As far as what we can identify here is that we believe is that we have to work very closely with the financial sector, because they are the forefront of digital economy. Number 2 is the telecommunication sector, because data is the asset of the industry. And thirdly, of course, is the things that related very closely to the rakyat, the cities, right? Not only the cities, the health, right? So which is very close to rakyat. We want to make sure that all the facilities, all the services are actually safe and secure, right? And of course, is that the government is the foundation of what we're discussing here today. So what we're doing here actually is that we want to work with all these key critical sector for the country to identify actually what are we facing today. Besides the problem that we know of, that we already have some solutions of it, do we have new problem statement that we want to identify and we solve it together, right? So in this process actually is that we work very closely with the agency, in this case NACSA, right, to look into how do we build the next generation solution for the country, right? So once we have these solutions, maybe is that it needs certain facilitations. Facilitation here in this case, it could be funding, could be talent, right? Could be policy innovations that we need to drive. Then of course, gradually is that we want to move into adoptions for the country, right? So, and eventually, end of the day, that is very important today is that a lot of times that we've been asked is that actually what solutions addressing what problems for Malaysia. So we are building this something called MySTIE Technology Navigator. So this is actually a platform that we developed for the country in order for the user from the enterprises, from the SME, they can go into this MySTIE Tech Navigator to look for the right technology partner that they can actually subscribe with, or to engage further to solve the problem statement they have from digital aspect of it. So this is something that a single point that we want to make sure that the industry can actually enjoy what we do for the country. So I think pretty much that's sum up what we're doing here today. We're not only looking at the technology side of it, we want to make sure that we grow the local ecosystem, at the same time that we provide facilitations from funding, from talent, and from regulations aspect of it, right? Thank you very much. And we'll discuss more during the panel sessions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Victor Loh, for the interesting presentation. When the emerging technologies such as AI, IoT, cloud, and 5G, as mentioned by Mr. Victor Loh just now, are ready to be adopted, how about the cybersecurity resilience, and what about the impact? So we may find the answer in this third session. We are honored to introduce our third panelist of the day, Prof. Dr. Salma Abbasi. Prof. Dr. Salma Abbasi, chairperson of the E-Worldwide Group, is a renowned expert in cybersecurity, cyber resilience, and ethical AI. With over 2 decades of experience, she has played a pivotal role in developing national cybersecurity frameworks and harmonizing cyber laws as a member of the UN ITU High-Level Expert Group. Prof. Salma Abbasi is the author of the pioneering Child Online Protection Concept Paper adopted by the UN General Assembly in 2007. Her international collaboration include creating guidelines for the OIC countries and teaching AI for the SDGs across 5 universities. As an IEEE strategic advisor, she is instrumental in advancing ethical AI frameworks and global standards. Additionally, she promotes youth engagement through the interesting International Youth Interconnection Platform, addressing the online threats and digital resilience. Today, Prof. Salma will enlighten us on the impact of AI on the national digital security. Please welcome, Prof.
Thank you very much. Very good. Thank you. Well, first of all, Assalamu alaikum and good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. I'm really grateful and inspired to be here at the invitation of the Academy of Sciences, particularly grateful to Madam Hazami Habib for allowing me to share my thoughts. I believe that we have wonderful speakers with great experience from MDEC and from the national cybersecurity agencies. I want to start in a different way. Obviously, I take the privilege as a speaker not to use slides. First of all, to make sure that everybody is indeed awake and focused and concentrating. So before I begin, I want to ask the question, how many of you in this room are academics? If you could put your hand up. Okay, not 100%. How many of you are from the industry? 2, fantastic. And the rest of you are from students? Okay, very good. Government. Okay, excellent. Well, let's start with some hard facts. Now, I think Sharifa's presentation, by the way, we're from the same university, Royal Holloway. So there's sisterhood right there. So the cost of cyber attacks and cybersecurity, and we're talking about AI, and this particular panel was talking about digital security. And I want to define and separate the two. But let's talk about hard facts, which probably you all understand and aware of. Cyber attacks globally, each breach cost us approximately 4.5 million US dollars. That's a big number, 2023. The expected annual cost is $9.5 trillion. That's not ringgits, it's trillions of US dollars, which is a big number. The trust and reputation is destroyed when we have a cyber attack. We don't want to put our money in a bank if we think it's going to be gone. Individuals, your own identity has been theft, your credit cards, $52 billion of identity theft has been taken. The physical consequences of the attacks, you've got Ukraine, critical infrastructure has been destroyed in many companies and many countries around the world. I'd like to give a couple of examples. I'm sure you're aware of this organization called ICBC, Financial Services. Ransomware attack cost it $9 billion in 2023. And they learned something, the risk from supply chain management. So cybersecurity is not just one thing that an organization does. It's all the people you deal with. I hate giving my email to people. And I think Madam Hazami has seen me. Give me a paper receipt, please. You expose yourself with everything that you do in this digital world. And now with Gen AI prowling everywhere, you are indeed in trouble. MGM, you may have heard of them. They are a resort. They lost $100 million in September. What did they learn? Social engineering. So how we're being now creative to extract money through AI. The British Library. We saw a library today, a virtual library. Who's going to hack a library? Guess what they did? It cost £7 million to recover the lost information that was taken. And the last example is a company I work with, DP World. Their Australian branch was hacked. It caused 30,000 shipping containers to be blocked. Imagine if your inventory was in that. You have a problem. So the importance was to learn cybersecurity across critical infrastructure. So to me, these are very interesting points for us to keep in mind. But as we're talking about enhancing national digital security, it should be in the forefront of every leader. What does it actually mean? We have lived through the pandemic, alhamdulillah. We have now adopted technology, whether we were ready or not, whether the cybercrime bill was in place or not, whether the regulations were there or not. Our lives have changed. Companies have pushed technology for commercial use. We have pushed our children to learn online, entertain themselves online, and communicate online. And the list could go on. I'm sure you are aware that we are living in times with multiple global crises, visible trust deficit, inequities, inhumanities. The world is not fair. Students are demonstrating around the world with a war in Palestine, and no one is saying anything. Can you shield your children from the geopolitical injustices? No. What does that do to Malaysia? We don't know. As a result, many nations are facing multidimensional complex challenges. Maybe not here, but we are in England. The cost of living crisis, the widening divides, they fuel by poverty, homelessness, unemployment, shortage of food, the escalation of gender violence, youth violence, knife crimes, drugs, coupled with the polarization within our societies. We are dealing with unethical players on social media, feeding our kids with misinformation, fake media, and the generance, the acceleration of Gen AI is driving greed, nefarious characters to try and influence the minds of young and vulnerable, scams for the elderly. negative ideology, criminals. Cities and nations are being crippled by the lack of resources, all the intelligence, the resources, conflicting priorities, unable to have updated critical infrastructure, the skills gaps, which both of the speakers before have covered. Also, we are unwilling to embrace change. As we get older, it's harder. So the digital provides the perfect space for invisible governance and surveillance with no responsibility or accountability or transparency that your national security agency can cover, thereby allowing unauthorized access to our information and data, intruding into our dreams and personal thoughts, manipulating and exploiting us. Countries, companies, and people, policies and regulations and standards need to keep up. They need to be agile. We need to evolve with the technology as it's introduced into our lives. We adopt technology too quickly. We think that AI is the panacea of all solutions. The risky behavior requires a paradigm shift in how we view digital security. We need to safeguard ourselves from the data that we share in the digital lives, from our iPads, tablets, mobile phones. Today or yesterday, the announcement of Apple that the latest phone is going to have Chat GPT in it. You saw the response from Elon Musk. This is dangerous. He's not going to allow it in his offices. Why? Because he knows it's surveillance. Why is Elon Musk giving us Starlink for free? So digital security, in my conclusion, digital security means data sovereignty, ownership of your data, data agency, data privacy. We have announced a new program last week in Geneva, and I am delighted that inshallah, Malaysia will participate. I'm also an honorary professor at APU, so I'm happy to see MDEC. We went to see their cyber lab. This is a report. It's a preliminary report, so you academics who wish to participate, it's to create, from the lens of children, terms and conditions for social media and gaming engagement. They will write their terms of conditions. Who is going to use my data? How is it going to be shared and stored? These are important times for us to understand that AI has been weaponized. Your threat isn't the army. Your threat is the destruction of your children, manipulation of their minds. We can see that Google Earth and Amazon are dangerously hunting out people, which are then being targeted by drones to be killed, and the world watches by. I argue that national security must look at the next generation in a very different manner and build their resilience as we are doing with APU, building human digital resilience in the evolving AI world. Their minds are vulnerable and trusting. They are indeed exposed to harms and fears and self-doubt, which we can't see. So within the UK, we have launched a program, which you'll be surprised, alhamdulillah, 50% women in this room. It's a program for mothers to recognize the behavioral changes. There are things happening to your children behind the door. I have 5 minutes, wonderful. Behind the door, and it's important for you to see that the exposure to the mobile phone is in your hands. You have the ability to negotiate with your child. It is not and should not be the modern babysitter, which is being used by many. I find myself horrified when I go to restaurants and I see husband and wife on the phone, the child on the iPad. And in my family, no phones at all. We're going for dinner. We're talking to each other. Intergenerational dialogue and communication with these broadening divides is a must. And we need to listen. We have to listen to the next generation. This is a time of toxic information, toxic, judgmental, stereotyping on the internet. And we need to be able to make sure we build the resilience in this area. I believe that mothers are the most sincere to their children. Fathers may have other pressures, but the telltale signs we know when they need to eat and when they need to sleep. Mobile phones and digital technology has no place in the bedroom, absolutely no place in the bedroom. I believe that we need to understand our children's lived experiences and be more vigile in watching their behavioral changes. And this is what we will do for national security. If Malaysia is not able to protect their children and they're thinking, you will have no country for STIE to go forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Salma Abbasi, for your informative and enlightening presentation. We heard on the cybersecurity policies, adoption, the impact. Now we are hoping for a better innovative solutions to combat this. So last but not least, we are pleased to invite our final panelist for this session, Mr. Tanvinder Singh. Mr. Tanvinder Singh is the Director of Cybersecurity and Privacy of PwC Malaysia. With over 18 years of cross-industry experience, he has defined, developed, and executed change and cybersecurity strategies for large organizations. Known as a thought leader in the information security, Mr. Tan has a proven impact of a track record of successfully implementing cybersecurity technologies and leading large-scale change initiatives. His expertise span both project management and people leadership with significant accomplishment in formulating technology and platform architecture. Today, Mr. Tanvinder Singh will be sharing insights on the zero trust model in view of the changing threat landscape. The floor is yours, Mr. Tan.
A very warm good morning to everyone. It's a profound honor and privilege to stand before you today. This is an esteemed gathering of celebrated scientists, scholars, subject matter experts, and I'm deeply humbled by the opportunity to share insights on the topic of zero trust, a crucial paradigm in today's changing threat landscape, changing models for the cybersecurity. I also extend my heartfelt gratitude to the organizers of this event and to extending the invitation to all of us. Being in the presence of such distinguished minds is both inspiring and humbling. Together, let's explore how the principles of zero trust can fortify our digital defenses and pave the way for a more secure future. I guess the biggest question which I'm asked around zero trust is zero trust a product? Is zero trust a framework? How can we be compliant to zero trust? Can we get certified on zero trust? I guess these are the few questions which I'll try to answer in the next 15 minutes, primarily helping understand what is zero trust and how do we embark on that journey. So with that, let's look at the timeline. Last few years, we've seen a lot of big names getting on their knees, getting hacked, ransomware impacts. And these are some of the big logos which you can simply Google and find in quick 2 minutes. So not much effort has gone into this slide. This is all available on public domain. But the point here is that this is an ongoing onslaught. From 2020 to 2024, the numbers are going up. And we are going to get impacted sooner or later. The intent here is not to make ourselves foolproof. We cannot do that. Rather, making ourselves a harder target to breach. And that's the intent. Now, let's also look at the breaches. The earlier speakers touched upon the breaches, and I guess I'll not get into the numbers or the metrics around, but the point being that in Asia Pacific, 40% of our respondents, this slide is from a recent survey which PwC did. It's an ongoing survey for last 26 years, and this is from the 2024 edition. 40% respondents in Asia Pacific to our survey, they have experienced the data breach. And on the right, if you see, Those are numbers from 2023 and 2024. And you would see the number going up from 16 to 23%, from 10 to 12%. Basically, the cost of breach has gone up. So let's keep this pointer in our mind that the breaches are increasing, the cost of breach, fixing a breach, and the impact of a breach is getting higher and higher with each passing year. The second point, if you see, 51% of the respondents were concerned about cloud-related attacks. This is an important point because globally, Asia-Pac is one of the fastest regions adopting cloud-based deployments. We are one of the biggest customers for cloud service providers. So point one, it's getting expensive to fix a breach. The frequency of breach is going up. Second, we are getting onto cloud faster than the world. We are catching up. It's a good thing to be spearheading, but also cloud-related threats are on top in terms of cyber attacks. So if you connect cloud-related threats, attack on connected devices or connected services, hack and leak operations, again, it's something we should be concerned about. Now let's also look at a castle and moat model. I'll probably pause here. We need to connect all these 3 points. The castle and moat model is a traditional defense model when you go in a battlefield. You have a castle, you have a moat around it. Anybody outside the castle or outside the moat is an external party. Anybody who's within the castle is a trusted party. If somebody is within the castle, means he's part of my army, my side of things, and is free to roam around in castle in any of the rooms, etc., etc. Outside the castle, it's enemy. Now, if we connect all these 3 points, the breaches are going up, cloud is getting adopted and is one of the key threats, and our traditional model, defense model, which we learned from the army or the physical defense into the cyber defense, we still hold this model. Our castle now is our data center. Our moat is our perimeter security, our firewalls, our IDS, IPS. The exact same strategy we have incorporated in the cyber defense. Now, just moving on from here, another point which I want to bring your attention is the COVID or digitization or cloud. All these 3 clubbed together and remote working thrown in. These are some of the numbers which are from 2020 until 2023 for only MS Teams users, which is basically giving you capability to work from a cyber cafe, work from home, work from remote location. And if you see 320 million was a number until 2023 for Teams only. There are Zoom, there is Google Suite, there are all other service providers as well, which allow us to work remotely. I hope you're realizing where I'm going to, because the point I'm trying to make here is that our workers are not within my castle anymore. The perimeter or the moat which I had is no longer effective. The earlier version or the defense, our assumption on which our cyber defense was based was that our users will be within my castle. With remote working and with adoption of digitization, our users are now outside my data center, they're outside my castle. Our applications are hosted on cloud because we are adopting cloud here. So my application data is outside my castle. Not all, but significant amount is on cloud. My users are not within my castle or my data center or my physical office. They are working remotely, which basically means that my traditional perimeter controls or perimeter security is not enough anymore. I'm not saying it's not of any use, but it's not effective. The earlier controls which I designed, architected, deployed based on the traditional castle and moat model are not effective enough, because the crown jewels which I'm trying to protect, my data, my users, they are no more in my castle. So earlier we had a traditional perimeter. We had But now the extended perimeter, which is a coffee shop, which is my home, which is cloud, remote working, bring your own devices, third-party accesses, mobile services. My traditional perimeter, which was firewall, endpoints, servers, application, those controls are getting diluted. And hence now you can see the correlation, why there is an increase in number of breaches, why we are an easy target now as compared to earlier. This is a contributing factor there. So if you see, perimeter-based security, not enough. And that is what is causing this pain, increased frequency, increased cost or impact in terms of fixing an issue, fixing a breach. The million-dollar question here is, what do we do now? The traditional defense strategy of castle and moat, perimeter security, data center, having everything within my physical control is not enough now. And that's where the zero trust comes in. So I hope I'm able to answer the first question, which is, why do we need zero trust? This is the reason why we need zero trust. The earlier strategy of having defense based on perimeter security is not enough now because the paradigm has changed. The risk landscape has changed. The threat landscape has changed. COVID was a contributing factor to it. Cloud adoption further infused that journey. So now answering the question around why do we need zero trust, now the next question is, what is zero trust? So the basic principle of zero trust is trust no one, both inside and out. Again, going back the same principle, there is no perimeter. So I cannot define who's insider, who's outsider, who's on my side, who's on the other side. Since I cannot differentiate and define, I'll have to go by assumption that everybody is an outsider. And now please keep in mind, this is not in context of human relationships. I'm not suggesting that your colleague sitting next to you, you consider him an outsider or vice versa. This is more around the exchange of information, exchange of data, purely on that angle. So when we say trust no one, both inside and out, this is what the traditional model was, the yellow box. Here was my perimeter security, and anybody, whether it was remote users, customers coming in, I would authenticate through my network security or perimeter security. In the zero trust model, that yellow box doesn't exist. Everybody is a untrusted party, be it third party, customers, mobile devices, IoT devices, and they have to go through a rigorous check in terms of their posture, in terms of their compliance to the standards which I have defined, and in terms of authentication. I'll not delve into key moments on history of zero trust. It's been there for a while, but it's more relevant now. I can share these slides with you later. Core principles of zero trust: never trust, always verify. Again, not the colleague sitting next to you. It's about information exchange with anyone. Now, when I say information exchange, the information exchange can be between two applications, can be between a user and an application, can be between a database and an application. Anywhere, if the data or information has to move or is to be allowed to change, we have to verify whether it's being done by an authorized party, authenticate and authorize there. Second is assume breach. We always have to be in a state of readiness. We cannot wait for a breach. Hence, we continuously monitor our status. We continuously monitor the posture of somebody who's requesting the data. We continuously look for signals or indications of compromise and dynamically decide whether we would want to allow this data exchange or not. It's not like traditional defense where if a firewall rule is set, allow access from this IP address to that IP address, it remains true till infinity. Not anymore. It is assessed and reviewed for every session. Sorry, how do I go back? Yeah, verify explicitly. So we verify there, 3 principles there. And then there are 7 tenets. Yeah, I'll not get into details, but all of them talk about before every transaction, every session, you have to verify, or the system has to verify, recipient or the sender of the data has to verify, who am I sharing the data with? is he or she or that resource authorized to receive that data, authorized to make changes to that data, and what is the current scenario around requesting this data? What are the contributing factors? Is the network secure? Is antivirus updated on that device? What is the posture of the requester, etc., etc.? These are all policy decisions which are made dynamically. So these are some of the key areas on which Zero Trust also aligns. We look at the identity. It's one key pillar. If you're embarking on your journey on Zero Trust adoption, need to fix your identity. Then we look at devices, networks, application, and data. And this doesn't nullify what Sharifa earlier spoke about of identify, detect, respond, recover, and governance. That's the model which will still apply to each of this pillar. We need to have capabilities to identify our assets, detect any anomalies on our network, respond to any anomalies if there's any breach, recover if we get impacted, and the governance overall. So these are some of the pillars which you'll have to form, or which typically from a framework point of view, we form in our organization, apply the governance aspect, the capabilities aspect on top of it, and embark on the Zero Trust journey. Now, this also doesn't mean that the existing controls, firewalls, rule engines, antiviruses, IDPs are to be thrown away. These are same building blocks which we can reconfigure, reuse, re-architect to align to the tenets of Zero Trust. It's just the mindset change. The inherent trust in any of the relationship, we are just taking that out and verifying every time a data is exchanged between two resources. Now, when we talk about resources, it means human being, application, data, database, or any of the other resource which is consuming or providing the data. A very simple example of how we do in traditional defense strategies, if there are two APIs in a single application, the exchange between these APIs is without any authentication. They can request data, they can send data, which basically means there is inherent trust between these two APIs of an application. In the Zero Trust model, we try to remove that. We try to authenticate an API to another API before data is requested or exchanged. There are different ways to implement Zero Trust in an architectural way. Some pillars and more granular details of the model capabilities, and then going one level below in terms of capabilities. Keep in mind, I'm not talking about any product because Zero Trust is not a product. Zero Trust talks about the capabilities. You can use multiple tools or one single tool to help you build these capabilities. And this model is evolving. There is no benchmark or baseline which can give you a certification or attestation that you are Zero Trust compliant. It's not black and white. It's a journey. You pivot from your current defense strategy to Zero Trust aligned defense strategy, and you embark on that journey, and over a period of time, you become more and more compliant to Zero Trust principles. So don't get disheartened if you see that it's going to take you 10 years to be aligned to Zero Trust. But the importance here is that we start on that journey, because we know the current existing defense strategy based on castle and moat model is not sufficient enough. Why Zero Trust? As I said, improved visibility, reduced risk, containment, manages the blast radius if you get breached, cloud compatibility, improved user experience. Some of the key areas where Zero Trust helps. Now, improved user experience, most of the time, security practitioners say, that's not our domain. That's something which business needs to figure out. But guess what? That's changing. Because if the customer experience is not good, your security controls will not get adopted by the user. You'll have resistance there. So UX becomes one key part of any security initiative. Some common myths: Zero Trust disrupts user experience. Absolutely not. If you architect it well, it's not going to cause problem. I'm not saying that every time somebody logs in touches the keyboard, ask them for their user credentials. There are ways to manage it, to apply the principles. It's not complex. It's not difficult to implement. you can start that journey tomorrow onwards, and over a period of time, you'll understand more and you can adopt more. Reduces the risk. It's not a sole technology solution. I've seen most of the vendors saying, use our product and you are zero trust compliant. Absolutely not. You probably will be zero trust compliant to one of the capabilities there. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much all. I think there were some examples of how zero trust applies without zero trust or with zero trust in terms of our general technology implementation. But I can touch upon this if you have any questions later on. Probably the most important point, zero trust isn't a product or a status. It's a concept, it's an architectural principle, it's a mindset. If somebody says that you buy my product and you'll be zero trust compliant, ask them for their architectural blueprint and ask them to prove or to present it to you what zero trust principles they have imbibed or baked into their architecture principles. With that, thank you very much. Any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chavinder, for your very informative sharing just now. So we now move into our dynamic dialogue session. I know some of you already have questions to ask our panelists. So please welcome Madam Sharifah, Mr. Victor, Prof. Dr. Salma, and also Mr. Tan to the stage. And we shall address all those questions from the audience. All right. So, as I mentioned earlier, we do have also the audience from the Facebook. So, for those who are online, you may post your question in the Facebook comments. And first of all, I would like to welcome the audience from this physical session first. All right. If you already have a question, please, we have a mic over here and there. Just throw the question to the panelists. You may introduce yourself and continue with the questions. Right?
Assalamu alaikum. Very good morning. Thank you everyone for your wonderful presentations. My name is Zaid. I'm from the Faculty of Electrical Engineering, UTM. My question is to Ms. Sharifah or Mr. Tanvinder. With regards to cybersecurity, I just want to know where the Ministry of Defense or our armed forces fit into all of this sort of ecosystem and infrastructure, because we tend to find that the layperson, we tend to be sort of ignorant as to what's happening behind the scenes or, you know, in the underbelly of the internet. And that is where the cyber warfare or cyber, terrorism or cyber activities are going on. But we may know that there are defenses at play, defenses going on. And I think that the Ministry of Defense with their, Defense, Cyber and Electromagnetic Division, if I'm not mistaken, they are playing a part in this, but I don't see that in the ecosystem. So just want your comments on this. Thank you.
Yeah, you should.
Thank you very much for your questions. It is rightly put, Prof. Okay. I will scoot and jump into the ecosystem itself. One is, you remember just now I mentioned about the national security and sovereignty. So let's talk about cybersecurity per se. Okay, at national level, we look cybersecurity into three aspects. One is cybersecurity as a technical issue, where all the good minds, people who have the ability and technology with right skill in technical, do the detection. That is one. And why we need them? We need them because cybersecurity in cyber domain, you talk about defense and security. This is not an ordinary domain where states actually have the largest investment and the most power in terms of other domain. For example, in maritime, the ships, you can actually see the military ships may be powerful than the ordinary ships. But in cyber, anyone can be much, much, much more powerful than states. That is one. Secondly, cybersecurity as a national security issue. Hence where we discussed today to connect the dots between economy and the element of making sure the national security and sovereignty. Your questions is actually skewed to another domain as a state where we look at cybersecurity as a national security issue, but at the same time, it's about international peace and security issue. So your specific question is where the Ministry of Defense. I would also want to add here, not only Ministry of Defense, because in Ministry of Defense, dia ada orang awam macam kita, but we also talk about the ATM, Angkatan Tentera Malaysia, where they actually, a state organ, mereka merupakan state organ, in the event of the armed conflict, where that was, I think, what you meant in your question, Prof, in the event of armed conflict, kita ni tak boleh nak pergi berperang under international humanitarian law. They will actually be the key to defend our security and sovereignty in the warfare, which may include and escalate to the armed conflict. This is the ongoing discussions at the First Committee in the UN, where states are enhancing their power during cyber operation either under the threshold of the armed conflict, where it is somehow a grey domain, and a domain was still debated at the UN. Coming back to our cybersecurity bill. In our cybersecurity bill, we define defense and security as one of the sector. And we actually put our ATM, Angkatan Tentera Malaysia, as one of the special element where in the event of anything with regards to cyber defenses in Malaysia fail, and in the event where we have an increased national visibility, and we can identify and attribute specific cyber incidences that associated to a specific states, we can actually use our diplomatic tools and our country's tool as a sovereign state under the United Nations to actually escalate into the elements that we are abide under the United Nations. Our attorney ATM will be our inclusive partner, BSEP, bahagian cyber and electromagnetic under the Defence and White Paper. We work very closely together with them. We have a center that is called a National Cyber Coordination and Command Center. In the legislation, specifically mentioned about the need for the sector lead to feed, as well the CNII agency or NCII agency to feed information there, so that in the event that escalate to warfare, specific warfare and armed conflict, we at national level can work very closely, and probably at some point, tak naklah jadi, insyaAllah, we can hand over the baton to our ATM to take and be front end to defend our country in the event of any cybersecurity incidences that is beyond us that can escalate to the armed conflict. So I will stop here.
All right. Okay. Mr. Tan would like to add on?
Yeah, so I guess Sharifa spoke about what is being done to support the defense sector in uplifting their cybersecurity posture, but there are a few points which I would want to make in terms of what are the underlying challenges, which probably will make more sense in terms of how difficult it is. The first and foremost is the training arena. Cybersecurity is something which is very, very difficult to train in a classroom. You learn on the job. So from that point of view, our whole focus today is securing our IT infrastructure. Infrastructure which is designed to transfer files, to retain the data and provide it for computation as and when needed. Whereas when we talk about defense, the core focus there is real-time communication. And that needs a totally different set of infrastructure. Similar to OT or operational technology, which is a totally different set of infrastructure and different priorities. IT, we talk about confidentiality, integrity, availability. On the OT side, availability is the first ask there. Similarly, on the telecommunication side, real-time communication is the key ask. IT side, we can do it. Save the file. You're downloading a file, even if it takes an hour, you're still okay because you'll get the data. On the telecommunication side or communication, which is the key capability on the defense, you can't wait for a message to be relayed after an hour. So there is a difference between the current security models which we have versus what we are trying to protect. The crown jewels are different. We talk about securing the data. Defense, it's about secure communication. So two different goalposts we are referring to. And if it's a different goalpost, if it needs a different skill set, you need training arenas, you need dummy environments to test and train yourself, which is not that easily available to you. For hacking, IT side, defense, you have labs, you can create a setup in your environment, you can do a virtual environment in cloud. For the telecommunication, it's really, really difficult. Second aspect, the telecommunication infrastructure is very niche, very expensive to upgrade, to change, to maintain. And hence, whatever infrastructure is there, it has been there or will be there for an extended period of time, unlike our IT servers, which get out of end of life in 3 years, 4 years, and we take it out of the rack and plug in a new one. So technology upgrade is a challenge on the telecommunication side. When I say telecommunication, I'm referring to the defense equipments and defense infrastructure. In fact, in my zero trust slide, I skipped a slide. The key challenges on zero trust implementation, one of the points there was that in telecommunication sector, implementing zero trust is a challenge because of the infrastructure upgrade or restructuring or re-architecting needs a lot of time, energy, resources, efforts. Same challenges apply to defense. So lack of training arena or less availability of training arena, inability to train ourselves in a classroom environment for cyber defense, niche technology on the telecommunication or the defense, these, and coupled with difficulty or extensive resource needs to upgrade, change the architecture. I think these are few of the underlying challenges which inhibit the maturity of security or cybersecurity defense capabilities in the defense sector.
Thank you so much. I'd like to add a point. Professor, great question. So I talked about the human side in my presentation, deliberate not talking about technology. But obviously, I'm a technologist and I've been working for 40 years in this space. One of the most important things for us to understand, as Tan said, is trust. One of the things that we have to do, and the question was really good, your response was excellent. I pointed out the lack of power within United Nations to stop a war in front of us, the use of technology. So the strategy that Madam Hazami has with this 1010, national sovereignty, intelligence, capability is a must for your national security. If you haven't got intelligent people, you will fail. You will be killed. You will be taken over. That's a no-brainer. Alhamdulillah, last year, I was invited to speak at the Cyber DSA. At Cyber DSA, I was on the round table with the head of the surveillance organization. I forgot, he's an admiral, brilliant man. I have worked with the Pakistani army for the National Defense University for many, many years. And alhamdulillah, they train a lot of member countries around the world from the OIC. When we talk this afternoon, I will be talking about the need for OIC countries to build the cooperation and joint exercises. I mentioned in my speech, I'm working with APU. National security, bringing up the capacity of the diverse students that's there and using their cybersecurity simulation is excellent. And we need to do more joint activities with trusted partners. Trust, as he said, zero. Everybody is a foe until proven otherwise. I used to say to, when I was a younger engineer, everybody bring me data, I only trust God. And that is exactly what you were saying. You do this for God. I'm saying from a Muslim Ummah context, we can see what's going on in the world. The legacy systems that exist, you're right, the military moves slowly. The other complication with military, and I use the word net-centric warfare. It's not cyber warfare. That's a game. It's net-centric because the framework that we need for communication, if you look back at my profile, I'm an old switching person from Lucent Technologies. Lucent Technologies made those switches. All your data traffic goes in there. Telecommunications. It has become a lot more complicated with data in the space. The stupidity to have your information in a cloud. A cloud is not a cloud. It's a physical data center where you have your servers, your power, your electricity physically bombed easily. Why does private sector rule the space? Why are they there and we're not there? Because we're not agile. So I hate to burst the bubble. Cybersecurity for commercial is easy. The cyber net-centric warfare, national security and national defense is complicated. And I'm hoping, inshallah, in August, I will be back to speak on this. And AI. AI is indeed an alien that's running around wild and free, invisibly through our systems. You have to start as a fundamental principle. I didn't want to talk about war, but he opened the door. But it's a very important and interesting space. The capacity building of military personnel, whether it's with Saudi Arabia or whether it's in UAE, the collaborations that we make as countries is very important and should be undertaken very, very carefully. So working with academia is what I'm doing with 50% of my time to make sure that we build our own national capabilities. But at the foundation, it's rubbish in, rubbish out. If we don't protect our children, we will have nobody take it forward. They will just be like marshmallows, vulnerable and gullible. Thanks.
All right. Thank you for this inspiring answer from Prof. Salma, Mr. Tan, and also Madam Rashida. Shall we ask have another question from the floors? We still have Mr. Victor. Maybe our friends from the business or industry would like to have some views on the adoption of the cybersecurity. Yeah.
Young ladies on that table.
Prof. Yes, Prof. Salma has a burning question to the audience.
Yeah, you know, the question is, I know it's hard and shy and difficult to start questions, but interaction is important. They've allocated an hour. So you young ladies on that table, tell me why you're here.
All right.
What did you want to get out of it?
Yes, please.
Don't be shy. There is no wrong question. There's a whole table of ladies. They caught my attention.
Hello, good morning. My name is Sharmili and these two are my classmates. We are from Asia Metropolitan University. Our advisors, they invited us to this event, so that's why we are here and we are very glad to be a part of this event.
Well, I'm happy to see you. Do you have any questions? Any interest in cybersecurity?
I don't have any questions, but this is a very new experience and we have learned a lot from this event. And we hope to, use your advisors to prevent any future issues that will come for us. That's it. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I have a question. I can see from her opinion that I don't see the interest of public about cybersecurity. I think that is a big question. So other than we're talking about zero trust, we're talking about all these. From the presentation, I can see we are living in a problematic world. I think we cannot deny this. So how we can raise the awareness of public about cybersecurity? Because instead of being a consumers, I'm feeling like those applications service providers, they are consuming our data. So how do we spark this awareness among the public?
I think beautiful question, because I'm focused on the people side of things. I think Victor's presentation on the 100 cyber, I'm waiting to speak to him offline. One of the most important things that I wrote here, I didn't say, was cybersecurity awareness training is the only way that we need to go. Technology can only go so far. It's a behavior and people need to understand the consequences. Cybersecurity is an attitude, it's a culture. If a company, if a government does everything and we leave our computers open with no password, we're still penetrated. So what happens, what needs to happen, and I believe that many countries, and we've been doing, I think when you announced, I was the mother of child online protection way back when, 2006. But we need to keep continually educating children in school, primary school. In fact, mothers, when they're pregnant, that don't give your kid a mobile phone. So it is to, I hate to say this, but there's another presentation that I have for another time, which talks about the impact to society, the suicide, what could go wrong, how we can be blackmailed. This is a continuous cycle that needs to happen using TikTok to educate children, to educate the mothers, because it's the family first. When we go to work, we know the behavior we need to adopt, but it's what happens to your family? How can your money get stolen? You suddenly say, oh my God, how did this happen? Oh my, I won't do this again. I won't make my password my date of birth, silly things. So it's by experience and continuous awareness that I think MCMC does, but I think more needs to happen. And I'm sure that, you know, you have a program in place, but having your own national capability and startups in this area is a brilliant starting point. But education is a continuous cycle and awareness.
Mr. Victor, what
So if I may add, I think is that I think ignorance is a subject of very, very sad to say is that ignorance is a topic here probably, right? So I think is that, but putting in an aspect is that, so if we start to cut into pillar of readiness, right, maturity of things, I think as part of the regulated sector, like the financial, the telecommunications, right, the banks, the telco, they know what to do. They already have a very, very structured way to manage cybersecurity, right? So I think is that what we worry more about today is that what we have here in Malaysia in particular, that 60-70% of the businesses that provide employments to the country are SME, right? And today is that we are telling the SME, you know, to stay competitive in the next 5-10 years or 20 years, you need to transform yourself to be more digital. So I think that that's opened up the floodgate of what Tan just explained is that we're expecting industry to be more digital, and at the same time is that we never embed that kind of knowledge to them, right? So that's our worry, right? So that's why it's very important to make sure that we have a very, very progressive approach to this tier of businesses today is that if you are SME, you want to transform, so what should you do? So that is very, very important to make sure that we have a very handholding process to do so. Then second of all, I think it's very important to know that is that besides the SME, I think we are exposed to a new world today is that the other side of the story is that besides cybersecurity is the privacy, right? So where we are today is that kids today, especially the youth, right? What's the understanding about cybersecurity? I think they are brilliant in cybersecurity. It's just that how they manage their cybersecurity and the privacy is another different topic, right? So I think that when we open up a social media platform, we allow them to sign up. Okay, actually, that there's an age limit of sign up as within social media for the youth, right? So that's the different problem. But I think what we need to take care today is that is the matter of privacy, and it's totally different from cybersecurity. Cybersecurity and privacy are two different things, right? Cybersecurity is how we defend, right? But once we're getting into more of how we collaborate, how we ingest data, how we exchange data, then there's privacy issues. So that is totally new topics that we have to have a different forum. That is even more complicated because that they go down to individual. Because how I want to manage my privacy have nothing to do with the government, right? So you have to understand the expected individual choice of preference. So I think it's that is totally a much more complicated things to manage. But what we need to manage today, as far as a country, in order to make sure that when we push forward to have more GDP contribution from digital economy, we need to make sure number one, all the critical sector need to be well defended. in order to move forward the 11 sector that we identify as a country. Then we need to make sure the second line of business in this case is the SME. We need to make sure we can have a very progressive plan for them to migrate in a much more effective cybersecurity control. So these two layers. And then of course is that naturally is that we have to move the consumer side of it to make sure that they can better protect themselves when they use their devices. Right? Sharifah can add more.
I just want to add and try to connect back with the objective of our session today where on the 1010. I think that would be something that is beneficial for us to reflect. And I think the speakers actually talk about one human. We heard about zero trust. We heard about how the importance of each and everyone. It goes back to the element of cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. So coming back to the element of zero trust, how you want to be resilient is not so much about you are like security proof. There's no organizations, no country, no person can say that I am secure proof, safety proof. No, you cannot do that. But resilience is the element of you actually minimize any risk. You also heard about protecting the crown jewel. Because we do not have all the money and resources in the world to protect everything. So we need to pick and choose. That is where the element of risk assessment is important. So coming back to our topic today, what actually the organization would do in spotting the talent, finding the actual human that actually can work with them, and also contribute to the beneficial of the country of organizations. One is an organization will build their own human firewall. They need to do that. You talk and you ask about awareness, where an awareness is very associated what Prof mentioned about coming back to your root, to what a mother should do. I mean, I'm a mother. I need to be responsible. How I teach my kid to not to talk to stranger, how to cross the road. I need to also learn to teach my kids on cyber safety, how to save yourself. One, that is building human firewall. If you go to organizations, big organization, they invest into doing silly exercise. Actually, they just drop pen drive and see who's the most intelligent person will pick it up and put it in that is something that is what human do. That is one. And secondly, at the same time, human organization, big organization also build human skill in terms of how to, what we discussed today, identify, protect, detect, response, and recover. So if you are not a technical person, but you are looking into doing, you are in legal or you are in electrical, electronic that do a specific design that have IP in that organization, they'll definitely will invest you in terms of building up your safety and security. But what I think Prof mentioned is there should be, there should be more coordinated collective effort in building safety, cyber safety, cyber awareness, not the core of cybersecurity yet, but telling the public on how actually you need to protect yourself and why. Yeah, definitely why, so that people will understand and do that. So it is actually essential for an organization to invest. When you talk about zero trust, you can put all the tools in the world, but if the human do not have an awareness, do not have the understanding of what to pick, we will go back to the ground zero problem. So I think I will stop here. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Tan, want to add on something?
Yeah, I think I'll probably come down to an individual level on cybersecurity and touch upon what Victor said, what Rashida said. Charity starts at home. Government can only do up to a limit. Government can share best practices. Government can generate awareness. Government can send you SMSs, WhatsApp messages on what are the good things to do. But ultimately, as I said, charity starts at home. How many of us have ever changed our home Wi-Fi password in last 1 year? Everybody uses Wi-Fi at home. Our Wi-Fi passwords remain same for as long as our router doesn't get changed. How many times our kids ask for a software and we say, hold on, don't buy a new one. I'll go to Lazada and buy you a pirated password or pirated license from there. These are the actions which demonstrate or set a very wrong precedence in front of the next generation. I shared about the breaches in last 4 or 5 years, which you could Google, find instantaneously there. How many times did we penalize or question those organizations about what are you doing to stop this occurring again and securing my data? Why do we expect government to always come in with a regulation and penalize these organizations? If your money is in a bank and the bank gets breached, will you do business with that bank again? No, right? Because you're talking about hard money. Isn't data money? If my data is breached, if my data is shared without my consent by an industry, by a service provider, by an organization, which is making me an easier target to socially engineer or target me for a fraud, do we question these organizations? We rarely do that. Some of the examples where, again, touching back to the original, the first point where charity starts at home, we need to start valuing our data. Almost every one of you would have received a phone call, an automated recorded message saying there is a transaction on your credit card. Please press 1 to approve. Please press 2 to decline. Irrespective whether you press 1 or you 2 or you don't respond, you get connected to a human being who pretends to be from a bank asking for your credit card information. Where do they get these numbers? Where do they get your name? It all gets leaked out from these breaches which happens at organizations. There is a whole underworld market which collates this information from different breaches, creates your profile. You'll be surprised you don't have access to those tools, but if you search in deep web, dark web about you, your name, your credit card number, your passport number, you'll be surprised to see how much information is available on you in deep web, dark web, including your interests, including the YouTube pages you like, including the YouTube channels, Facebook pages, your interest in. Probably your life partner won't know that much about you, how much information is available in deep web, dark web. Where did all the data came from? It came from all these breaches. But we rarely question the organizations from where the breaches happen, and we expect governments to take action against it, which is governments will do whatever they can. But again, the responsibility starts with us, starting with these basic demonstrations, not using a pirated software, keeping your passwords updated, multi-factor authentication. Facebook has, LinkedIn has, a lot of these applications have multi-factor authentication, but we rarely use that. I think there's a question.
I'm just going to add one more point. What I mentioned in my presentation is that we launched a program hoping that Malaysia is going to participate, yourself definitely, on creating terms and conditions. So when we actually click on an application and take Instagram, has anybody got an Instagram account? Anybody own Instagram account? Quite a few of you, right? Have you read the terms and conditions? It takes 1 hour, 21 minutes to read it. 1 hour, 21 minutes. If they had nothing to hide, they wouldn't do it. And on Monday, we had our session with the APU. Alhamdulillah, we had, I think it was 15 students that are going to work with us from Malaysia on defining this new global standard. Understand that they don't want you to read it because you sign your life away. I keep telling kids, nothing is ever for free. And it applies to you. Any and every application has an agenda, and that is to take your data. That is what they sell. Why are these companies trillion-dollar business? Their revenues are bigger than countries' GDP. They are taking your data, manipulating it, selling it on. If you ever buy an airline ticket, you see, you get another post. Oh, you want to go there? You've already done it. So it is important that we, as I know that you're re-examining the education system for Malaysia, we need to re-examine our education curriculum. We need to embed in it our own digital resilience, how our kids can have critical thinking, how can we build their own confidence in engaging in the digital world that we're pushing. They need to have those skills as part of their normal process. It shouldn't be an add-on. When it's an add-on, they will just bypass and click. How many of us click on our phone? Oh, what the hell is this? I'm in a hurry. Click, off you go. It is important to be aware of these things, because without that, the kids are always going to be playing catch up with AI in the game now. Thanks.
Yes, very true. Yeah, we have question from Madam Hazam here. Oh, you want to add on?
Because we are talking based on MySTIE have identified cybersecurity as one of the technology. It's just when Academy developed 1010 MySTIE, as we show on the slide right now, it is not just about the 10 technology and the 10 socioeconomic. It's to change the way we work and plan. This is a framework, a tool. So as teacher in university or in research institute or student in university, when you want to do research, you have to embed all this and to be as more focused and prioritize what we have to do. And cybersecurity have to be one of the elements in any research that we do that is related to digital. Then only we can become resilient. If we keep on making the same kind of research or product without thinking about cybersecurity, and we are inherited of all the problems we are facing today. Be it about energy, about green energy, who are polluting it? Because we never think about it before. So now with this framework, we need to change the way we plan and how we work based on these 6 mechanisms. First, we have to be focused. If cybersecurity is already identified as one of the emerging technology, it has to be embedded in our planning. What are the priority areas that you want to change in the sector that you want to develop? Next is, what are the ecosystem that is needed? Infrastructure, all cybersecurity issue, AI is in it. Then we have to work together. The problem when academy do a policy studies, every ministry is working in silo. We're not talking about universities. Ministry is also working in silo, right? Then we have to be inclusive. What works in Kelantan may not work in Johor Bahru. What works in Johor may not work in Sarawak. So there is no one size fits all. So that's why academy come up with this framework. Then we have to make sure it's future proof. This is where all what PwC said on zero trust, this is all about future proof. We will be agile. So please use this as a tool. It's not it's a tool for us to plan, not just for researchers, but also for policymakers, but also for students, for you to see what are the areas, what are the green areas in future that you want to be. So I hope it gives another angle of how we see this technology. When we decide that the technology, it doesn't come from out of the blue. We carefully thread it from 283 emerging technology for us to cluster it into 10. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Hazami. All right, let's open for the floor. If we have a question from a gentleman over there. Please go to the hand over the mic to him. Kindly introduce yourself. Yes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Let me take all the protocol of the presence of the Vice Chancellor and all our guests. I had, in the first place, I feel not to ask, but at the end, at this moment, I feel to ask because I'm highly impressed with all the presentation. And just like you said, the cybersecurity, it has all applications, all the field of endeavor. My name is Musa Adamu Eya. I'm from the Department of Transportation. And based on the presentation, I want to ask those are from our guests, their experience in relation to how to monitor all crimes related to vehicular movement and then attack along maybe the highway and then maybe some of the environment. Thank you in short form.
All right. So may I get your question again? You asked about the transportation. How does the cybersecurity has the impact on that? Is it?
In terms of snatching cars and attack and then missing. Although in Malaysia, I used to read most of the news how they manage to handle some of these things. And based on my own experience, because every day I used to read from Malaysian news, and it's like maybe the rate of minimization, it has gone maybe 60%. But in like maybe in my developing countries, maybe just below 10%, because these are the major challenges we are facing. But that's why I say I'm highly impressed with this presentation. Monitoring vehicular movement in terms of crime, attacks, missing. So how does this cybersecurity relate to management in Malaysia? Because there might be a view on the percentage on how Malaysian government or the cybersecurity management organization manage how to treat and handle these missing cars and attack. Thank you.
All right. So this is about the monitoring and also trafficking, and also what the certain issue that he highlighted just now is about the missing cars in terms of transportation, because he does face that in the country. So yeah, stolen cars and also some monetary things. Maybe you want to add on? Yeah. We can share from the perspective of Malaysia first, and then Prof. Salma can share from the global, in general.
All right. I will try to answer the questions. Okay. One is you're talking about crime, right? Am I getting that all right? Okay, crime. So let me go back to the work that we do at National Cybersecurity Agency and how we actually connect with the law enforcement agency. With the incoming cybersecurity bill, we will be the regulators to increase the baseline in cyber environment, where we identify 11 national critical information infrastructure, which includes the transportations. That is one. Banking, yes, and where money, banking, and other than that, probably the Department of Transport will be where your license will be. That will be another national critical information infrastructure as well. Right now, it is governed under the policy-wise. With regards to the cyber crime itself, cyber crimes happens. We talk about data breach. We also need to acknowledge the increased number of credential leak before and after COVID. Because of what? One is, this is the scenario and environment that we are facing. We, at least in Malaysia, never thought that we will remotely work from home, at least at the government and most of the organizations. And suddenly when COVID happened, MCO happened, everyone was forced to work at home. And at that particular point of time, it goes back to the fundamental of what is the most priority. Is it security? Is it availability? Is it the connectivity and whatnot? People start to connect. And if you remember those days, Zoom, there was some vulnerabilities. Not Zoom was bad. Vulnerabilities that was exploited due to everyone suddenly jump into Zoom environment to connect because of COVID. Between COVID-19 era, credential leak are like happen so much. Hence why when we operate business as usual now, I think post-COVID, embed the change and whatnot, the criminals are using these credential leak because of the rush into getting online to be connected to perform their operations, the criminals' mind. And we listened just now regarding the underground business where they actually are very, very organized. Coming back to the link between monitoring, missing cars and whatnot, police, the law enforcement agency need to be fed in such a way to be coordinated with intelligence, collective intelligence and visibilities of the informations. Definitely there are works that they do, but we believe that increasing cybersecurity baseline will assist in making sure that when incidents happen, reported to the law enforcement agency and NACSA, because under the legislation, transportation NCII needs and obligated to report if there are any cybersecurity breaches. Then the escalations of what the cause and effect of any incidences that happen can be respond, and we can reduce the dwell time that we are facing right now. So we are forecasting that with the proper implementation of cybersecurity bill, we can actually be more collective and coordinated in such a way to not only detect, and also we can work together with the law enforcement with enough visibilities to disrupt the criminal infrastructure in doing this type of organized crime, not only in Malaysia. We hope that we can do that cross-border once we have a proper mechanism of identify, detect, respond and recover. The problem here is sometimes when we do not have enough baseline, we do not have enough tools, we don't know what we don't know. So we want to decrease the number of the unknown so that we have enough visibility to take action. So I think I will stop here to respond.
Sorry, I think that's a very good question. It's actually mature in some countries where you have a digital driving license, you have a number plate recognition system, so you've got a database of your driving license, you've got a database of your vehicle license, and a lot of cars are under a fleet management system that uses satellite to actually track and trace the mobile, where the car is gone, using satellite data. They have then a mechanical system that if a car goes beyond a certain point, it actually stops and locks. This is old technology, not new. And I'm glad you asked the question, because there is IEEE is working on a standard at the moment with autonomous vehicles. Now, your question on cybersecurity is beautiful. Tomorrow I'm going to Singapore. Why am I going to Singapore? I'm going to meet with Interpol. Why? Because now we start having vehicles with our smartphone plugged into the vehicle, sucking up all of our information into the vehicle. Now just imagine your vehicle being hacked. You now like a sophisticated car that can plug and play your music, but who's going to hack into that system? Easily done now. Then how do you do digital diagnostics on the vehicle and trace that data? Which IP address did it come from? So you're asking a lovely question for the future. I know that some of that technology is operational in Europe. In Africa, not right now. We've launched a program on multimodal transportation systems to create a smart corridor in the Gambia and from Rwanda to South Sudan. That will then, I will be able to give you an answer probably in about 6 months, but you're asking a very legitimate question when it starts talking about tracking and tracing contraband, weapons, all illegal drugs, etc. So there is a big interest from the police and law enforcement agencies around the world, which is why Interpol is key. Thank you for the question.
Maybe just short 1 minute. I think is that when you talk about cybersecurity, it's something that you always think is very complicated. Is that maybe the question that you have in mind is that how it apply to your parents, right? So I guess give you a very simple few example. Okay, number one, today is that when you carry up your driving license, you may not carry driving license anymore. It's virtual. And how do you use virtual? How to verify that's your driving license? There's also security, because there's a QR code. That's actually security. And secondly, of course, is that remember during COVID, or even now, you sign up any of the program or you open up an account, right? You use eKYC. So eKYC also is cybersecurity, because that verify your facial identity versus your identity. So that's how do we humanize cybersecurity. And tell you, of course, this is a very huge example that I think that I hear it from a very traditional business, just like over the last weekend. A hardware shop, right? I think about 45, 50 years old hardware shop. And the auntie actually tell me is that I'm glad that there's QR because is that I've been receiving a lot of counterfeit money. So they show me at the counter, right? So that actually benefits of cybersecurity because today you pay using QR, that there's no counterfeit money anymore. So I think that's a huge advantage of using cybersecurity today to help you as a person or as a business.
Okay, thank you. We do have an interesting discussion just now, and it's time for me to wrap up the session. All right, let's take a moment to reflect on the key insight shared by our esteemed.
Sorry, moderator, can I ask the last question
Sorry,
about
I
the
didn't
blockchain
notice.
technology?
All right, we still have
Stephanie?
we still have a second,
Peter
right?
Lee? Thanks for the invitation from
Quick one.
ASM Kuala Lumpur. My question is regarding blockchain technology, and my company is already have blockchain embedded software. The question goes to the real question. The real usage example currently in the market beside cryptocurrency in Malaysia. I know the answer, but I want a sure answer. Pass to the floor. Thank you.
All right.
I repeat again. The real usage example currently in the market, Malaysian market, beside cryptocurrency. Thank you.
Okay. Or we may reserve that question during our kopitiam.
I have one. I have one, I think.
All right. Let's answer a quick one first, and then we do have a session, a very lively session afterwards. We will continue to discuss on that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, let me just try. I mean, I'm not a blockchain expert. I'm doing cybersecurity. Blockchain and cybersecurity is not. I mean, is somehow have similarities, but it's a technology rather than approach cybersecurity. So during COVID day, I was in the vaccination team that do the national vaccination program. So I was in the team that do MySTIE in the back end. So I work with the developers and the whole team under the CITF. I think probably some of you here probably in the team as well. So it was an interesting and also a very fruitful experience. So in our MySTIE, we actually use MIMOS technology. And it is a blockchain technology at the back end of MySTIE. And MIMOS developed the technology in-house, and I cannot elaborate more because I only work with MIMOS for the API. So, but actually from my understanding when we did the discussion and whatnot, it is a true testimony that the government of Malaysia and the minister at that particular point of time wanted to make sure the integrity of that information using the in-house developed technology by MIMOS and tie our digital vaccination digital certificate with blockchain. And I actually witnessed how interesting blockchain is and how it actually provide the authenticity, and you can track back all the changes in what you have done in that I can't remember what it is being called, actually like databases and whatnot. So that is my personal experience. I may not have other experience with regards to blockchain. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll probably take another 2 minutes just to explain. I'm working with one of the startups to solve a fundamental problem about the privilege or admin accounts or super user accounts for general users, like the Wi-Fi, the password for your home Wi-Fi router, the password or administrative password for your laptop, your other digital devices. On the corporate side, we do have those solutions, privilege access management. Secure Key is one of the fantastic solutions made in Malaysia. But for the general public, on the individual side, we don't have a solution which can store your credentials for your accounts, your bank account, your kids' school account, your hustle account, etc. So that's a solution which the startup is building up. But the biggest problem, or rather a counter problem, is if you keep all your passwords at one place to secure, you're also keeping all the eggs in one basket. If somebody hacks that, then it's a problem. If that source of authentication is not available, then how do you log in into your platforms? So to solve this fundamental problem, that's where the blockchain is coming in handy, because of the decentralized storage aspect. Traditional PAM solutions have a vault where you secure your credentials, your passwords. This non-traditional approach to this problem includes the decentralized storage aspect of blockchain, where we don't have a vault. This is a distributed vault. You are anywhere, you can still access your credentials and securely. So there's no dependency on a central vault to secure your passwords. This decentralized aspect of blockchain, that's what this startup is conceptualizing, I would say.
All right. If you have any more questions, please stay tuned for our next competence session, where our panelists also still be here and we can further discuss on these matters. Allow me to wrap up.
Happy to have more discussions
Yes.
on the secure contracts and other aspects.
Okay, so allow me to wrap up this session. All right. So as we reflect for today's session, Ms. Rashida has covered on the policies and the framework, and Mr. Vector has delved into the challenges and impact of the adoption of this latest cybersecurity technology, and Prof. Salma have added on the facility on digital cyber resilience and also on the humanity aspect as well. And we do have Mr. Tan here talking about the zero trust model. All right. So thank you again for all the panelists and also to all the audience for this interesting session.
Okay, Thank you, Dr. Azalia, for steering the conversation alongside our esteemed panel of experts. I am sure that everyone was enlightened by today's session. With that, I would like to request all panelists and moderator to welcome ASM Secretary General, Professor Dr. Nur Saada Abdul Rahman, UTM Vice Chancellor, Professor Dato Engineer Technologist Dr. Ahmad Fauzi Ismail, and ASM CEO Puan Hazami Habib to the stage to present tokens of appreciation to the panelists. We would like to invite the panelists to receive the token of appreciation. Let's welcome Ms. Sharifah Rashida, next, please welcome Mr. Victor Loh. Please welcome Professor Dr. Salma Abbasi. Please welcome Mr. Tanvinder Singh. We also would like to invite the moderator to receive the token of appreciation. Please welcome Technologist Dr. Nur Azalia Abu Bakar. Next, we would like to request all panelists and moderator, together with ASM Secretary General and CEO, to remain on stage for photography session. Thank you, Prof. Saada, Puan Hazami, Professor Dato Engineer Technologist Ahmad Fauzi. You may return to your seats.